There's a bit of a backstory to this photo that has nothing to do with the photo itself and everything to do with the context in which I took the photo. You can go on the blog. If you're on YouTube, you can click through to the link in the blog, or if you're on the blog already, you can just read the text I have there. But I guess the bigger story is, or the background is, when I was in high school, I worked at a grocery store. And at that grocery store, I did all sorts of odd jobs over the years. Bagged groceries, ran the checkout, ran the dairy, like the dairy department, ran the video counter, customer service. But one of my favorite jobs over the years was to run the garden tent. And I didn't and still don't know anything about flowers. And so I'd be out there on morning or afternoon shift, and people would come up and ask me about like annuals and perennials and this plant and that plant. I would have like seriously no idea. I'd be like, well, let's check over here and see what we could do. And so that was one of the coveted jobs in the springtime and summertime, was working in the garden tent. And it didn't really matter if you didn't really know what you were doing. It was just a way to get out of the store. And when I bike to work nowadays at Oklahoma State University, I go past a grocery store most of the time, and there's a garden tent out in the spring and summer. And so it's always kind of cool to bike past that garden tent where they're selling flowers and just the usual springtime gardening supplies, and think about when I was in high school and college and used to work the garden tent. And I thought, well, there's all these flowers out there. I wonder if there's a photo opportunity. So I brought my camera with me, and I rode my bike one morning, and I think it was April, and I parked my bike, and I was just looking around at the flowers, trying to find a photo opportunity. And I found this flower, and a couple things made it turned it into an interesting picture. Number one, the backlighting with the sun low on the horizon. It made the whole thing glow, and it almost looks like it's got like an artificial glow to it, like it's on fire almost, but it's not. It's just the glow of the sun. And the other cool thing I was able to do with this was utilize the traffic going by and the sun reflecting off of the windshields or mirrors or whatever it was on the cars. And that's what's causing that giant bright light in the background. That's not actually the sun. The sun is out of frame, but you're seeing the sun reflected off a car. And that's the technique I've used many times. I don't know if I can plan it, but when it happens, it's cool to utilize it. And it all came together for this really cool photo. Of course, I had my macro lens with me so I could get right up close. Even though I wasn't taking like a macro shot, I wanted to get close enough to this flower that, well, basically I didn't want the distance to be a factor. I wanted to get as close as I wanted to and not have the focusing distance come into play at all. I'd like to do it again. I'd like to go back and take another similar picture. And I'm going to look for these opportunities when I'm going past that garden tent. This one turned out really cool, and hopefully I can take more photos in the future.